with your host, Corey. And thank you very much for joining me for part 3 of 3 with my sit down with Sarah McMahon, who's an absolutely wonderful author, poet, and activist, and absolutely just incredible human being. I hope you've enjoyed the previous 2 parts, and it's really just more of that some laughter, some fun, some enlightenment. I hope you get out of that as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll get right to it. So
was wrong. It's like, bro. And so I fully was like, yeah, I understand. But he said what you said, like they were trying like really to understand. And then, there's all these people like, read these books. And I was like, you know what? Like, read any Black author to really know.
And it's hard because probably like your friend, and again, I don't want to speak for him. I just know a lot of my brothers and sisters, we had like side private messaging, text message conversations when a lot of this was going on and we were all going through it. It was like, look, I appreciate you're aware. Because everyone's like, well, what can I do? What can I do? I'm like, hold up now. We didn't put us here. So why do I have to get, and I finally, with my go-to answer after consideration and really being sick of being asked about it is I just said, okay, let's start ground level. The next time, and I'll tell, when you're in the store, pay attention to the Black dude walking around or the Black woman walking around, and don't watch them, watch the people they pass. And when you see someone watching them, when you see someone taking an extra step to go towards them and someone's profiling them around, say something. Say something to that person you see doing it. I had this conversation with my son's best friend's parents because they were asking, but it was a better conversation because it was legit. It wasn't just like 40 people messaging me. And I was like, listen, I said, right now, if me and the wife, I don't want to drop anybody's name, but me and the wife, I was like, okay, you guys say, hey, go to the store to get something, and I take her to the store. And we walk in, and some dude says something disrespectful, touches her, does something completely lewd. And I tell you, I saw it. And we come back here. And I looked at the husband, I said, are you pissed at me? And he's like, what? He goes, yes. And I said, why? He's like, well, you didn't do anything. And I looked at him, I said, same thing. How many times have you watched something go on, but you didn't say shit? So now I'm angry. I'm fearful because I don't know how many people agree with this person because no one has stepped up to say anything. And now I don't trust you. And I said, so if you can understand it, because you've proven to understand it when I say it's a woman, then you have to understand my frustrations. Then you have to see it just because I'm Black.
That's a good, and like, okay, but also one more thing on this, the idea that you could give somebody, you could text message somebody like, oh, this is what you can do is so also kind of ignorant because it's such a complex problem. What are you going to get? Like a bullet point solution? Like that doesn't make sense either. It's a little more nuanced than that.
Like,
I don't know the answers, but I know it's more complex than like,
hey, Corey, I need you to solve racism. Smiley face. I'm like, the fuck? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, sorry, I can't text that.
How do I put this in a succinct message? 140 characters, please. Like, come on.
Okay. So have you read a book? Like, I don't know, but now, and I'm a completely switch topics. I want to talk about your book. So since we sort of glossed over that and you didn't say anything else about it, but so please talk about your book.
I wrote a book of poetry. It's called I Like It Because It's Pink. You can find it on Amazon. If you buy it, rate and review. I started writing a lot of poetry before. I mean, I've been writing poetry since I was 12. But this one I started about 2.5 years ago when I broke up with my fiance. And I had a lot of healing to do, and I was just writing to do that. And I also was performing it. I like to make my videos of my poetry because I like reading I think it comes across better than someone just reading it because I put my own cadence to it and everything. So yeah, I was writing for a long time. I put them together into 4 different sections. There's good love, there's bad love, there's self-love, and then family love. Family love is my favorite. And this also will kind of like wrap into what we've been talking about. But there's one poem that whenever I perform it, the room just gets quiet and everyone's like, whoa. And it's about growing up poor. And I think that is such a universal experience for us that it's just like, I mean, it touches a chord with most people because most people can identify with one of the things in that poem. Like I talk about, like my dad's dad left, and so it's like, you know, there's a line in there that's like, how does it go? We search for our fathers till the minute we die, basically. And I love that poem because I don't think what divides us so much is race or sex or all these other things that are so easy to look at and see and point at, but income. And I think, I mean, like, so many people are poor, and I mean, I grew up in a way that's like poor, but like to the rest of the world wouldn't be poor, but amongst my peers, and now looking back, I'm like, oh, we had to grow food. Stuff like that. My dad shot deer to eat. My parents both lost their jobs in 2008 when the market crashed. We were like, went to food banks and stuff like that. And they gave me a pair of running shoes for Christmas. And I was so happy because I like didn't expect any gifts, number one, but I was also running and I was like kind of gunning for a scholarship. So those shoes meant so much. Like, that's the best Christmas gift I've ever gotten. So the family love section was really fun to write. I write about my mom, I write about my dad. I write about growing up in this weird little small town where everybody knows everyone and it's very insular. And if you're different in any way, it's like not okay. And then I moved to like a city, you know, and I was like, oh, there's people like me here. So it's a kind of weird way to grow up, but that's a little bit about my book.
So, and because that's also the same poem you touched upon, I believe, was your grandmother who had breast cancer.
Yeah, that's a different one. That's about heritage. That one, I actually got the idea for at I was at an open mic in Long Beach, and man, going to that, it's like once a month, last Friday of every month. It's like going to church. Like, it's just like, it feels so good, and the community is so great. But I got the idea there because one of my friends who's not white was talking about how like DNA tests seem like such a white thing to do, and I was like, guilty.
When you hit that point in the poem, I was like, man, that is $1 million industry that has made it all off non-people of color. That's all. Like, I'm like,
yeah, because and then I thought about it and I was like, well, I wonder why. And I, you know, had mine done and everything. And I was like, well, probably because we don't feel like we're part of any like culture. We like looking for something to help us define ourselves. And another thing that white people do is like, they find something that's like, oh, I'm 3% this, and it's something that's like other, and so it's kind of different and it's exciting, and it's like, but you're mostly like Polish or whatever, and you're just not that proud of being Polish. That's what it is. And so then in my poem, I focus more on like the half of me that I know what it is. It's Norwegian, and culturally, like my family, like my great grandma could speak Norwegian when she died, and we would eat like Norwegian food and do things like that. So that's like the part of me that I identify most with, and it's the most like DNA that I am. Like, I'm a little Cherokee too, but it's not like what I'm going to focus on because it's not like the culture I grew up in. And so yeah, I thought that was just fun to like point out all the weird the weird things that come from a DNA test. It's like you're searching for something about yourself or something. You're searching for identity in a way.
That is so true. And I said this off air, and I said I wanted to say this publicly. So I'm someone that has grown up playing music, teaching myself to play instruments, and like my favorite musician, if anyone has known me for a minute, has always been Prince. Got to see him in concert before he died. It was, speaking of going to church, an amazing experience. And I said, listening to your cadence, listening to your rhythm, listening to when the rhymes occur on the beat. And I said the two people, and I say this with the utmost of respect, I don't blow smoke up anyone's ass, is like the two people that came to my mind were Prince and Langston Hughes. And I say that because it didn't just move me, it transferred me, and it brought me into it. And so even with that particular poem, Country Kids, I'm misquoting the name of it?
Yeah, Country Poor Kids. That was one of them, and the other one was called Heritage, about the
yes.
kids.
And both of those, I love the fact that they sort of start and end the same, but the cadence kind of changes. And so in the beginning, you're listening to it, and it is a point of awareness, and is a point of pay attention. I have you. You need to be paying attention to what I'm saying. And then towards the end, it is almost a point of comfort in the way that you express it. And it's the same words. It's the same, and I have goosebumps. It's so like I told you, I was like, and I said this to Sarah when we first started. I was like, I apologize because you probably woke up us being 3 hours apart to being like, okay, this kid Corey and his production company is not following me on everything in social media, because I did. I sat and watched all your YouTube videos. Please. Oh, what is the name of your website and blog?
My blog is The Prosiest. You can just www.theprosiest.com. I link most of my stuff there too, so you can find me there. And on YouTube, I'm just Sarah McMahon. Instagram, I'm McMahon or Sarah McMahon Poetry. So,
and it was I loved not just the prose of what you wrote. I absolutely loved the style. And you're right. You reading it alone is just amazing, and your production skills on the videos. It becomes a story, and it becomes and it's like it becomes a story that when I get to the end of the video, I'm like, what do you like? I get the little thing. It's like, oh, next video on something starting in 5 seconds. I'm like, no, how's it over? I'm like, no, not more. I'm like, what the hell? So you have a talent that is beautiful. That is just, it's just phenomenal. It truly is.
I appreciate that.
And the first poem from your book in where you touch upon your relationship, my favorite part of that was when you talked about he gave you a necklace with an S on it, and if you like that narcissistic jewelry, and I was like, that's badass. Like literally, I was like, she has a fan in me forever. Like she could just write, like she could write the ingredients of fucking Rice Krispies and sound them out, and I'd be like, that is the baddest poem. Like I'd be like, yeah, y'all heard this? Like I'd be like,
true story. He did give me my name is Sarah. Gave me an S, like with like pink stud S, and I was like, am I supposed to wear this? Like so people know my name starts with an S.
Like, is this in case I forget? Like
what? Thanks, I think. And I was gracious about it at the time, but then when we broke up, I was like, bye, throw this away.
you're like, I know we're breaking up, but can you take this necklace with you? Because I'm really not going to use it. Like, but it was, I mean, it just, I really think everybody needs to hear. And it was funny because I wanted to do this interview first, but I know your 2020 poem. I was going to drop that and like tag you on it and forward it to everybody to go and listen to and specifically watch. And it's frightening to think, because what is that? That's 5 months old, the 2020 poem, or at least the video.
2020 poem I just published at the end of the year.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it just feels like 5 months because it's been a long year. But I'm like, I don't know. It's like you have an amazing future. And your talent is just so amazing. And I really was just like, I was sitting there watching it and I was like, this is the greatest thing I have watched on the internet in months. I was like, including the 2 movies I made. I'm like, this is great. I'm like, this is awesome. Where did you, how did you discover that talent?
I started writing when I was really young. I think I grew up, like I said, kind of poor. So we had like 5 channels on TV. So I read for fun. I mean, I read for entertainment. I read because I had to, and I read because I had nothing else to do. So then I started writing, and I had this awesome teacher in like 6th grade who was like, she literally wrote like my report card at the end of the year, like, you have a talent, like you need to share this with the world. You need to pursue this. And I was like, okay, like I'm a kid, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I kept writing, and I kept writing even though it was like not cool, and I didn't really share it with anyone for a while, but I just I liked it. I like how musical words can sound, and I just kept doing it. So I have this kind of an advantage now because I'm 27, but I started when I was 12, so I have like years and years and years of practice. When I got to college, I studied English, and I took these poetry workshops, and I feel like I learned so much there. My teacher was named Kevin Stein, and he's a great poet in his own right. You can look him up too, but he taught me so much, and I just kept doing it. And it's just like practice. You have to practice whatever you're doing. And I have all these years, but I enjoy it so much. It doesn't feel like work. And I love finishing a piece and like getting it just right, and it sounds perfect. But I started actually writing end of the year poems in 2016 because that was the year that Trump won. And I was like, the fuck is happening? That destroyed me actually, because I was like, Hillary's gonna be the first woman president. Like, this is great for America. Da 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 da. I never thought she would lose, and then she lost, and kind of like rocked me. I was like, oh, this country is not what I thought it was. So I wrote a poem at the end of 2016, and it was like, I think it started with 2016, the year I threw up as the disco ball dropped, because I got really drunk that New Year's and I threw up. And then it turned out to be a shit year. So, but ever since 2016, I've written a poem for the year that just like ends. And so I have 4 of them now, and I think I'm just going to keep it going until I die, and then it'll be like fun to read back over the years in poems.
That is so cool. Like, just like I said, I have always been an avid reader, and when I was a kid, it was a nerd. Like you said, it wasn't cool to always read and shit as a kid, but I always did. And like I said, I was just like listening to your stuff and reading your stuff, and I was like, this is next level stuff. Like, this is just beautifully handcrafted art. Like, this wasn't like and I think that was the difference. Like, listening to your poems, reading your poems, I didn't feel like they were poems. I felt like they were physical pieces of art that were just a credit to who you are as a human being. So I'm gonna ask this knowing I hate people asking me. So what's next for Sarah?
That's a good question. I think I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep writing. I'm gonna keep running. I don't know if another poetry book is coming. I had this thing actually where after I published this, which is in like October, I had this moment. It was like a month where I was like, I can't write anything new. Like, I just did this thing and I feel like I can't make new things. And of course, I started writing, and I was like, there it is. Like, it's back. It's here. Like, I just keep creating things, and I'm gonna start making more videos too, because I think that's a lot of fun. And I really like being able to read it myself and then share it that way with people. And not everyone's gonna go read a like poetry book, so it's fun to be able to share one at a time.
And on a smaller scale, I totally get that, because after I finished my first movie, like I was very like deer in headlights. I was like, I'm not like, because I had a project board. I still have a project board of movies I want to do, but I was done. And it was one of those, I held on to it for like a couple of days before I released it to everyone. Like Demar's like, I thought you were going to release it. I was like, I don't know. I just kind of want to hold on to it. And then when I did, I was like, I can't do anything else. And then same thing. I sat down one day and I was like, okay, I'm going to do the running documentary. What are the questions? Blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, literally, I went from, I'm going to take 3 months off before I do another film, to it was done 3 months after Origins. Like, so I on a smaller scale, I totally understand that. You couldn't see because I was doing this, or I shouldn't say they couldn't see. You said you're not sure if another poetry book is coming.
I'm sure it will. I just don't know when.
I mean, there's lamps in here. I don't know which one I have to rub on to make the genie come out to make it happen. Because please, you have a wonderful story to tell. You have an absolutely articulate soul, and you speak on a level that I think the world needs. Like, for lack of a better term, I really do. So it's I'm a fan. I'm gonna make like a million other people your fan too. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
They're
so
awesome.
much.
And then also, your blog post you did about eating disorder. And I know we've kind of sprinkled that earlier. You said this in the very beginning, and you had touched upon it throughout the video. One of the things I absolutely loved that I felt like probably the way you were saying it was, this should be common sense, but it's not, was like, don't talk about food. Don't talk about weight. Don't talk about someone else's weight. Like, don't like, if someone is struggling with an eating disorder, don't make them go get treatment, because that's not going to work. And it's simple and it seems like common sense, but it clearly isn't. And I think your warrior spirit for enduring and surviving all that is just a beacon for so many people. And I know, like you said, there's still tough days, and that's because you're human though. It's not like you're not walking around going, oh, I have solved eating disorders. Like, just listen to me. Like, take this supplement, get a juicer, take this. This is all you.
That's the opposite. No, don't do that.
They're like, this is all you're gonna like. So I think that vulnerability on top of that wisdom is wonderful. It is just another wonderful trait. I told you had to be comfortable with taking compliments. So
I'm getting better at it. Yeah. So
you didn't run. You didn't like click like.
Like, oh no, it's too uncomfortable.
Like going through a tunnel cord. So I will say this, putting you on the spot on the podcast, because I'll make sure that it's on there. I would love to have, let's knock something over. I would love to have you back on the podcast too, because one, I will be the person in your ear saying, we want another poetry book. But two, I do think you present, no pun intended, I think you present a minority point of view that not a lot of non-people of color have, or are even aware that they can form. And I don't mean that to be insulting, but I mean, like we said, is a lot of people just don't, they went from not realizing there was racism to asking every Black person they know how to fix it. And it's like there's a disconnect here somewhere. And
it's honestly, I think it's just because I'm like very highly empathetic and also very sensitive. I was just talking to someone about this yesterday about I feel everything, like I feel the highs really deeply, but I feel the lows really deeply too. And empathy's always become like very easy for me. And I mean, that's all we have to do. We have to just put yourself in someone else's shoes and think, how would that feel if you were them? But it's not so easy, I guess, because a lot of people can't do that, or they won't. So, but that's really all it is. Yeah, and just be self-aware enough to know, like, maybe, if that were you, how would you feel? But like I said, maybe people have to learn how to do that. I'm not sure. It always it was so easy for me. I don't know how it feels to not have empathy. So if people don't have that, I don't know how you go about cultivating that either. But
I feel like that would be a class. I agree. I don't think. I think I have a high level of empathy, and a lot of that comes from. It's probably the good thing that comes from growing up abused is I'm very aware of people's feelings in a room or how they're feeling. So, but you're right. I don't think you can teach, for lack of a better term, because if you could teach empathy, then you in essence would be teaching people how to take their own head out of their ass. And I don't know if that's.
I don't think a lot of people like it up there. They're like, it's cozy.
And it took me this long, but I think I now have the title to this podcast. Thank you.
We got there. Hey.
Yes, I think people like it. Seriously, honestly, Sarah, that will be the title of this episode. I'm digging. That's a winner. That's a winner. That might even be the audio quote when I do the promo for each episode, because I'll break this up in probably 3 or 4 episodes. So I think that's going to be the audio promo that I'll do for each one. That's too good not to be used. Like I think some people like it up there. That's it. Everybody's like, what is he talking? No, that's the title of the episode, and it'll have quotation marks on it. It'll be like, I think some people like it up there. In quotes, Sarah McMahon.
Sounds like a T-shirt.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, can I get to Cafe Press anytime soon? So random question. Are you a basketball fan at all?
Not really. I don't really watch. Okay, hold on. I don't really watch sports. Basketball is my favorite thing to watch because I used to play it badly in high school. I was not like, I'm not like that good. That's why I run, right? So straight up, I'm not gonna, I can jump. I'm 5'4". I can probably jump 4 inches. So it was a struggle. I was point guard. And but I like to watch it. I like to watch March Madness. It's always a good time. And my alma mater made it to the
Yes.
tournament, and then they didn't fucking have it. So like that was a bummer last year. But I also like to watch UFC. Those are kind of what I like to watch sports wise. But why?
I could see you like, and I mean this in a compliment. I could see you in an octagon whooping somebody's ass, flat out.
Wow, I would feel so bad. I'd be like, "Are you okay?"
You would feel bad when the bell had rung and it was over. But I guarantee you when it started, you would just be like, you'd be like, I'm sorry, I have to kill you. And then you'd be like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, here's some ice. Are you okay? Call you later. But otherwise, I could see you being, you'd be like, yeah, sorry, you have to die. And then, oh, you would be carrying her out. Like you'd be helping her. You'd be like, come on, I got you. Let's go. Like, sorry, I broke your ankle. Here's your eyeball. Here's your nose. Like, my bad. Sarah, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I don't want to take up too much of your time as I just looked at my watch for the first time going, holy shit, this is my fault. I take blame for that. It's my bad. Thank you so much. And seriously, never stop writing. You're an amazing soul. You have an absolutely wonderful talent. And I consider myself very blessed and thankful you agreed to be on my podcast.
Well, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for asking me. I appreciate it.
No problem. All right, go. It's early for you, so like go enjoy. Is today Friday? That's
Today's Friday.
That's where my life is. I'm like, go enjoy, and I'm quickly in my head, I'm like, shit. I'm like, Friday, yeah. Go enjoy Friday.
I will. And yeah, you too. I'm sure it's late for you, huh?
I have 4 kids. All 4 of them are still awake. This is not, I won't, if I'm in bed before 1, it's a victory. And I still get up at 4:30 to work out. But if I'm in bed before 1, it's a win. Like my body actually I will wake up at 3:00 very confused if I go to bed before 1. Honest to God, true. Like I'll wake up at 3 thinking it's time to get up, and I'll start grabbing my run clothes. And I look at my watch. I'm like, I still have another hour and a half. I'm like, this is weird. Like I don't have to pee. Like this. So my doctor says apparently we're supposed to need sleep, but whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
Sleep when I'm dead. I'm okay. It's fine. But seriously, thank you so much. And you have an absolutely wonderful night.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to all 3 parts as we wrapped up my sit down with Sarah McMahon. Hope you guys truly enjoyed it, and definitely go and follow her on her social media. I've attached that definitely on the YouTube as far as how to follow her and listen and catch up with her poetry, which is absolutely stunning. And I mean that in 100%, not exaggerating at all. So thank you guys very much. Hope you guys are doing well. Stay blessed. Do better, be better. One love. I'm out.